You're listening to Raising Anchor, a Rhode Island FC podcast. We're glad you're here. Hello, and welcome to Raising Anchor, your podcast and source for all things Rhode Island FC. I'm your host, Matt Entrican, and with me, as always, is the amazing co-host, Jason Carey. Jason, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good, buddy. How about yourself?
I cannot complain. We are moving and grooving and just marching forward to that 2024 season. We've been getting all those ticket updates for season member purchases and getting the seat sections kind of set up to pick our seats. You and I have a battle strategy that we've put in place. I mean, we'll have already gotten our seats by the time people hear this, but I'm just really excited.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it.
Do you think we picked good seats, knowing that I know you haven't seen where those seats are?
I'm going to say they're the best seats.
I mean, there's not a bad seat in the house, right?
I can't imagine there's a bad place to sit in a stadium.
I will be honest. I wanted to splash out for the, not the super bougie seats, but I wanted to get the back, seats, the chairs, the full-on seats. But knowing how much, in the first year I'll save, and the fact that we had got a few extra tickets because, we've got partners that will maybe on occasion show up or maybe not. They're not in love with the idea that we're dedicating lots of our time and effort into this club right now. What was going to be just a occasional Saturday attendance has now become a Tuesday night notes, Thursday night pod, Saturday night attendance kind of situation. So I can only imagine how many games they say, hey, you boys go do your own thing.
They chose this lifestyle.
I don't know if they knew what they were getting into. I mean, you put a ring on yours already, so she's trapped. Mine still has an opportunity to get out if she wants to. So, but no, I'm really excited about what we did. I think it's going to be fun. We're going to be able to see Defiance do their thing from afar. We couldn't jump into the. We're just not there, right? And you'll find out, I think, in the rest of the interview today that we cover. It makes sense for us to be where we want to be and just support Defiance from afar, and then maybe do some cross chants, when they ask for something about Tottenham, right? We'll answer back in kind. So
yeah, I'm down to support those guys, but I don't think we're those type of people who are going to be in the supporter section every game.
No, yeah, I feel like it's back in my day. I mean, there was a time when I sat in supporters groups, and that time has passed for me.
I mean, especially too if we're going to talk about the games here. I'd have to go back and actually sit down and rewatch the game. We spent a whole game, hanging out with those guys, chanting, singing. It can be hard to kind of, talk to about a game from an analytical standpoint, and then also have a good time like that.
I agree, and I was actually even thinking when we started talking about our professionalism, I realized that kind of meant that no more getting blackout drunk in the parking lot before a game. We're gonna have to really scale that back.
Oh man, we can't get blitzed and then challenge random people to street soccer afterwards.
Only when the game really matters and we've taken very accurate notes ahead of time, right? But no, seriously, that's what this podcast means to us, is that the days of showing up, opening a 30-pack and passing beers around and inviting people into your lives, we'll still hang out there, but maybe it'll be a bottle of water or Brett Johnson, it'll be a Athletic Brewery non-alcoholic beer,
Don't we have interns to do this or something?
Oh, we're not that big yet. We're not that big. I am
maybe one day.
I hope. I am really curious to see if another podcast starts up in direct competition with us at one point, because having done some research now on our podcast family in the USL, there's a couple of clubs that have multiple extensions. There's a couple of clubs that actually have an official affiliated podcast, which that one interests me the most. Is would Rhode Island FC do that to us now that we've put all this work and effort? Are we going to have to compete with the club itself?
Yeah, I don't know. That would be interesting. Maybe they're just like, oh, these guys constantly throwing shade at us.
We try to be fair and balanced, and they just, they're saying, oh, like this is not. We have to take matters into our own hands. But no, like nothing in that space yet. But and if it happens, like, okay, fine. Competition always is competition. But again, looking into the space that exists, it's been really interesting to kind of start to understand more about the league, more about the clubs themselves, and the podcast family. I've been learning a lot, and we hope to bring on some of our podcast brothers and sisters in the near future, so that our listeners can also kind of get some juicy bits and pieces of information that maybe we aren't at that level to deliver yet, because we're still learning along with the listeners about the club.
Yeah, it'd be great too to just talk to other people who are, into soccer as much as we are, want to have the interest to grow the sport and kind of share their love of it with other people.
Agreed. So listeners can stay tuned for that. But in more immediate news and what's going on in the here and now, and recently you and I attended the Hope Street Festival in obviously on Hope Street, near downtown, and it was really interesting. One, we were looking to see if an RIFC tent would be there. They didn't have one, which is okay, like no big deal. They can't be at every event, but they did. There was a New England Revolution tent there, and so we went over as like undercover, incognito. We don't know anything about soccer as a sport fans, and just started talking to the guys that were over there. What were kind of, because I have a thought, but I'm curious if you had the same one. What was your impression of that?
I mean, the thing is, when we started talking to the guy and got to kind of know him better.
Don't burn him out.
I got to burn. I don't even remember his name. I'm not gonna tell, like
it was beep.
It was clear that the guy like had other motives, and he wasn't, honestly, like legitimately, he kind of wasn't that into soccer.
Oh, you can say it. I mean, he was really smart for what he was attempting to do, but it just kind of shows you what that club faces. He wants to join the Patriots organization in any capacity possible, and he's using the Gateway Craft connection to try to supplement moving into the Patriots org by starting at and again, it's almost like the Revolution are this feeder system for the wrong kind of thing when it comes to like operational talent in your front offices. And like he was so upfront and so cavalier about just sharing that, like, oh yeah, like I couldn't name all the players on our starting 11. I'm not really into soccer. Get me as close as I can to that Patriots office, and that's where I want to go. And like, again, I appreciate his candor. At the same time, like, is that really what you tell people as you're trying to grow what you're responsible to showcase? And then, and then he gave us swag. So,
yeah, I shouldn't, but there's this weird thing where I'll admit, I guess I hold a double standard for like certain industries, and soccer is one of those where, like, if you're working for a soccer organization, like, I want you to be into the sport. I want you to be excited and, yo, did you see that match? Did you see we just signed a 15-year-old kid or something? Like, you know what I mean? I don't want you to just show up and do your job, which in this day and age, I can understand, people doing, but for something sports, especially where, I don't know what that guy's making, but realistically, like,
he's at least making what you would make. And oh man, I'm gonna insult someone making sandwiches at Subway or, cleaning bathrooms at a school, like whatever that entry level you want to say is your derogatory compensation target. That person's either making that or more. And I'll tell you, I don't remember his age, but if you could tell me I could make $10 flipping burgers working French fry oil, or I could make $10 talking about soccer and travel around. Oh, sign me up for soccer every time.
Yeah.
I'm not even making $10 on this podcast with you. Are you making $10?
Not that I'm aware of.
So that guy has a better opportunity to talk soccer and get paid. He's in a better position than we are right now.
Yeah. Like I said, I'll admit it is a double standard that I have and hold people to. I would like to when I meet people who work in a soccer organization, I would like to feel that energy that they have.
Yeah,
for the sport.
and I think our club, I think Rhode Island FC's done a pretty good job of that so far for the people we've met. They're very passionate, and they speak their truths, and they acknowledge what they are and what they're not. And so I agree. But I bring all of that up because I just want to flex. Because as we started walking around, again, it was not planned, but we had a couple of stickers with us. And anytime we saw anyone in any soccer gear, whether it was Revs or I think I saw more Liverpool fans than should be allowed. I know that the state has a lot of Liverpool like supporter groups, or at least supporters of their supporter group. But I saw this one Revs fan, and he was decked out in the full kit, hat and everything. And I just walked past him, and I was like, "Hey, man, are you a local of Rhode Island?" And he's like, "Yeah, I am." And I said, "Cool. Are you gonna listen? Or are you gonna listen? Are you gonna watch the new local club, Rhode Island FC, when they start?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, no, I totally want to check that out." And I just did this. I did the pitch, right? I was like, "Hey man, we're raising anchor." He's like, "Oh, yeah, no, I just listened to episode 2, and we went on a Saturday, so episode 2 had just dropped that Friday." This guy had already listened to both episodes, and if that doesn't sustain you, Jason, to continue this effort, we know we've met one person who at least was a fan. Don't know his name, didn't take the time because he looked like he had to get places. But sir, thank you. You continue to sustain us as we do this podcast. We have one proven fan outside of our immediate family and friends. I love it. And, we just keep growing it from here, Jay.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's nice to see that people are liking the product that we're doing. And
whoa,
well,
people. I said person. You got
person.
You got to scale that. Keep those expectations low.
I forgot. I can't count family.
Oh, too good. So I had to share that story, and to that listener, we really appreciate your fandom. In all seriousness, thanks for sharing, and it really meant the world to us. So, getting into what we want to cover today. One, we have part 2 of the interview with Defiance 1636 to go over. So sorry that we kept you guys on kind of a to be continued cliffhanger on the last episode. We didn't mean to do that to you, but we wanted to make sure the episode stay kind of in that not too long of a break in terms of time run. So we're going to cover that, and then we have a couple other pieces of news that we want to share before we jump into that. And I think the first thing that is going to be really exciting, and since this is going to be a little dated by the time it happens, I'll be really curious if we got our predictions right here. But we know that Coach Kano was out in the wild. He was traveling in Ireland. He was attending Irish Premier League games, specifically looking at his Instagram and kind of what was covering there. He was covering a focus on the Shamrock Rovers, Bohemians, and St. Patrick's Athletic. And before we dive into that, can we just agree that Bohemians is a rad name? I didn't know they were a club, and that's up there and like one of the top, like at least 30 club names you can possibly have for a soccer team.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. And I think it was the northern part of Dublin. And so I just showing you too they have this really cool Bob Marley jersey. It's actually to commemorate his last outdoor concert was actually at their stadium.
Really? By the way, you're wearing Irish colors tonight. You're talking about Irish stuff. This is a little premeditated here. I don't know if you did that on purpose, but
was
well
an
done.
Accident. I just,
No, that's really cool, and I did see the kit. I thought it was really cool. It's not as cool as the USL Indy 11 corncob kit, which for listeners, if you remember when we shared about the Orange County orange peels and slices kit, that one is a dim candle compared to the brilliance and brightness that is this corncob kit. If you ever want to give someone a joke gift, that's the thing to get them. So find their shirt size and order them an Indy 11 corncob kit. And you just need to go on the socials and just go look at this. It's beautiful. It's everything. It's corn. You have to get it.
Maybe one of the Southwest teams will have like a rival Elote jersey.
Oh my gosh. That would be great. Just the next one's got the Cheeto dust and like the mayo. Oh my God. San Antonio, get on that stat. Oh man, that's one, that's brilliant, and two, it's making me hungry for some elote. So yeah, so the Bob Marley kit, I agree that looked really rad. But the reason we're bringing this up is specifically to focus on Bohemians. Jason and I have a theory at this point that in Coach's travels, he definitely hit up 3 or 4 clubs in terms of looking at products inside the Irish Premier League He started with Shamrock Rovers, which is the current champions. And when we started doing some research about the club itself, it's really hard to kind of narrow down because 90% of the players in Shamrock Rovers are on free agency at the end of the year. Like their contracts all expire. So, or they've gone into free agency now to be picked up. So it's really difficult to understand who he may have made a grab for. So what we did notice, though, is that he went to 2 or even 3 Bohemian games in that same composition. So we started thinking that maybe Bohemian is actually the more strategic place that he was looking for a player. It gets really difficult, though, right? Because we don't know anything about the team yet. We've heard rumors that maybe there's a couple of players already like mapped out and contracts are in the process, or loans are being offered to pick up as part of the spine of what coach wants to build. Obviously, he needs to have that going at this point because we're getting into the point where tryouts have to be coming soon. So it's really hard to kind of go down the list on what coach might be looking for in a pickup, especially when we need to focus on free agencies. But we believe that there might be 4 or 5 prospects that he could be looking at. So do you want to kind of run the listeners down on some of them, and I'll pick up where you leave off?
We've got a few players here. We're thinking maybe John O'Sullivan, who's a right midfielder, 29, came up in Blackburn. Jonathan Afolabi, a center forward, 23, starter, Irish Nigerian, came up through Southampton system.
I hope that this is like, I mean, I know like right away it's the attacker, right? I really hope that if he was picking up anyone on this list, this is the guy, because he's young. He has a massive upswing in terms of talent. He came up in what was at the time, when like at that age, one of the Premier League's academies. I know that Southampton has fallen on some less than stellar times.
Fallen on some hard times, but a lot of that is because they've been farmed out by all
they
the big teams.
They gave all the clubs all of their talent, which exactly. And so I like the age on this one. Again, not knowing what coach wants. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to make sure that we talked about that.
I think that's a good point, actually. If we think about this too, the first ever player to sign to a contract for RIFC, like that's going to be a big marquee thing, right? So you're not going to be like, here's our third string goalkeeper. No offense to they have a job to play, but you're going to probably want a flashy, high profile, like probably attacking player that you want to sign first to be like, to get the fan base excited.
Agreed. And this guy is playing like 78% of the minutes for the club right now, so he's definitely in the starting rotation. He is someone who, I think when we looked at transfer market, because this is, you have to use some of these systems to get this information. I think he had the highest evaluation in terms of immediate contract offerings. On the upscale, he can be worth, into the millions of dollars if someone were to purchase him from Rhode Island FC. But again, because he's a free agent, we don't have to work through those machinations. But, again, but I do agree with you that whoever the first player signed is, they either have to have like roots in New England, they have to be a sensational splash in terms of like the talent acquisition, so maybe someone even bigger than the Irish Premier League, or it has to be someone that it's the spine of the team. Like this is a 4-year, 5-year product that we are investing in, and like this is going to be the face of the organization. So and that's just the announcement strategy, right? There are some other players. So who else do we have on the list?
All right. Also, we've got James Clark here. He's a central midfielder, 22. Declan McDade, left midfielder, 27.
Oh, a little Scottish action. Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to try my best with this next name. Ali Kute.
I was going to say Cootie.
You're trying to say this guy's got cooties?
I was going to make the joke. I'm glad that you were more professional than me.
Left winger, 25, rotational player from Dundee United, and Luke Dennison, goalkeeper, 26.
Now, the Luke Dennison one is interesting, and we added it because he's not technically in free agency, but he is the only American on the club. And we've learned that there are some international mechanics that need to be called out. I don't think coach would go abroad to find an American to bring back, but when you look at kind of if he needs something that he sees, Luke is currently the third string goalkeeper, like you made the joke a minute ago. So he's probably not getting playing time, but if coach thinks that there's a more advanced level there in what the Irish Premier League is offering than, say, USL, like I could see him wanting to bring that talent in and not take up whatever we need to learn more about it, but those mechanics around international roster accumulation spots. So
Yeah, like you said, thinking that probably free agency is what we're looking at, but I don't know if there's going to be any splash out here.
I don't think we are.
They're not really transparent with a lot of that stuff.
Right. I don't think he went there to acquire a player that he has to purchase. I think, and if it was, I don't think it would come from the Irish Premier League. I think he spent the time. They have something in their system that they want to plug in. And, you know, when you look at the prospects that we listed, they're all midfielders or attacking players. There wasn't a single defender, because I believe that we bring up domestic players normally, and like we'll find Americans that can fit those roles. So my guess is we signed someone. I really feel like we already picked one of these lads up, and then we'll see them, you know, joining the team at some point. And if we got this wrong, that's the beauty of speculation, is we're allowed to be wrong because we're just curious about it, right? It's the same way we don't know what happened to Bruce Arena. We don't know if he got locked in a basement somewhere and was put on a really long timeout for saying, you know, that someone's wife was fat, or if he dropped a really racist comment. Like, nobody knows. Do you know?
No.
What do you think Bruce did say, though? In all seriousness, do you think he went racist like old boomer man, or do you think he like? Because I've met Bruce. He says his mind. He does not have a filter, but I've never seen or heard of him like doing something of that nature before. My guess is he said something really insulting to someone that was higher up than him, and they got offended. But that's just my theory. I would never put money on it because I'm sure he could go the other direction. What do you think?
I don't know the man. I've walked by him and said hi, and he seemed friendly. Based on his age, from his generation, I don't think considering how many he's been playing with like players from all around the world, I don't think he said anything malicious. I think it was probably ignorant, that he probably said something that, you know, maybe was not a great thing to say, but there was no malicious intent in it. I think it was probably just, you know,
what if he did
put more
like
thought into what he was
the
doing.
WWE Generation X suck it?
I wish.
And he just did it to like, I don't know. I don't even know who he did it to, but like, what if he just did like, he just dropped that like cross twice on his crotch?
And then he climbed up Hell in a Cell and came flying down with a chair.
You know, I could see Bruce Arena actually doing that more so than any of the other kind of rumors that have been going around, which have gotten people in trouble, which is why we will double down and say we don't know what it was. And I think by this point it'll have been announced, because if it gets to this date's episode, which I think is September 8th for this one, that would have meant that he was in like timeout for 2 months for a club. Like, that's going into like the final leg of the season, like that.
Maybe they're just seeing how well they're doing.
I mean, it's League Cup currently when we're recording, so
yeah. So
and they just got knocked out. So, but hey, okay, we don't talk. We've talked about the refs too much tonight. See, we got to focus back in.
It's RIFC, bro.
For life. RIFC TID. That's how it goes from now on, right? Awesome. Well, hey, what's going on in the league? How is my train getting to it? Do I even want to know? Because I do know, and it's not good.
Yeah, I'm not doing so well. I mean, I don't have a lot of great news to report about Rio Grande Valley either. So, you know.
Did you get blown out 5-0 with a hat trick from one player with a 5-back line?
No.
Oh, that didn't happen to you? Because that happened to me with El Paso Locomotive.
Put your hex on them, didn't you?
Oh my gosh, I'm glad I'm putting it on this club and not Rhode Island FC. Like, just get it all out of my system.
Shake it off.
Yeah, yep, all out of my system. I'm gonna burn every sock I own. Like, I don't do like 17 Olympias.
Go into the next season cleansed.
Oh yeah,
purified.
I'm gonna go see a shaman. A fortune. I'm so sorry that I did with this, and they can't figure out. They keep asking themselves on their socials and their podcasts, like, what is going on in their club? They don't know that I became a fan. This is my fault.
Don't you put that evil on me.
I may stay a fan on the books for El Paso to just not bring that over to our club.
Nice. All right. So let's look here at the Eastern Conference. At the top, we got Pittsburgh Riverhounds, followed by Charleston Battery, Tampa Bay Rowdies, Memphis 901, Louisville City FC, Indy 11, Birmingham Legion, and FC Tulsa.
Wait, did someone get knocked out? Someone was in. Wait, who? Someone that rotated.
Was Miami FC maybe in there?
I don't know. I wasn't paying that much attention to who. Indy 11 was at the bottom.
They're at 6 now.
So yeah, they jumped someone. I was only tracking at that very last line. Again, the parity, like you can jump multiple spots because they were 8, so they jumped 2 in one game.
I'm just reading the positions. There's not a lot of points sometimes.
Right.
Between these teams. So out west we have San Antonio FC up top, Sacramento Republic FC right behind them, Oakland Roots, Orange County SC, San Diego Loyal, Colorado Springs Switchbacks, Phoenix Rising FC, and then rounding up the 8th spot is El Paso Locomotive.
Hanging on by a thread.
Yep. There is a 4-point gap between El Paso and New Mexico. However, New Mexico does have a game in hand. And then Rio Grande Valley in 10th.
Listen, if I've looked at anything for this club, they went on, I think, 12 games of winning, and they're at 9 consecutive games of losing. So they just got to get to 12 games lost, and then everything will be balanced out. They can get back to that winning. So they've got 3 more losses probably on their way.
You just got to balance out their feng shui. You know?
Exactly. Although I will say, if we do go see a game this year outside of that, I do want to go see El Paso play Hartford, which I think is coming up at the end of this month, which means that listeners hearing this will have already happened. So I think you and I need to go down, check out a game, see, like, if they're going to beat a team, it's going to be Hartford, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, give me some reassurance there. Like, look me in my... Okay.
I mean, look at their position on the table.
And then, go get some New Haven pizza and then get the heck back out of that state. I think that we should go do that.
Yeah. All right, I'm down.
Sweet. Listeners, we'll let you know how that happened. So with that being read out, I think it's time to move back into part 2 of our Defiance 1636 interview. Really excited to bring the conclusion of our conversation with Irvin and Joe. And so at this moment in time, I think we can just say sit back and enjoy the rest of the conversation at Craft Burger and Beer in Pawtucket.
All right, and welcome back to part 2 of our supporters group interview with the Defiance 1636 with Irvin and Joe here at Craft Burgers Beer in Pawtucket. So, Joe, Irvin, last time we were talking, we were asking a bunch of questions around how the sport was evolving in Rhode Island and what your role to play in that would be. But I think something we haven't asked you yet is, how has the community received you so far? And what feedback have you guys received from those groups?
So we've actually have gotten a good response from some people. Like a good, now I'm not saying 100%, but I'll say a good portion of the people that we've contacted, communicated with have been very supportive of what we're doing. A lot of people are just excited that someone did it. Oh, that's pretty cool what you guys are doing. Some people don't know who we are, and just figured it out and like, oh, that's what you guys do. So we're right now we have a lot of local businesses that are waving our flags at their bars, at their food trucks, at their establishment basically. So few to name. Crafts is one of them for sure. Los Munchies here in Pawtucket, which is a Puerto Rican food truck. If you pass by their parking lot, the flag's waving right there. The German American Association.
What do you recommend from Los Munchies? What's the go-to
wings,
item?
The wings.
The wings? Okay.
The wings, the ribs.
Listeners, you
and
hear
then
that?
The Puerto Rican sandwich that they have right there. It's así es, pero you got to do it. Like, honestly, it's good food. It's good food. If you want that, like, that Spanish food, you're going to go there. Los Munchies. Bueno.
I interrupted. So
what
other places?
And then of course, like, if you go to the German American Association, they have their flag right next to their supporter flag. So they've been very kind. So we do have a few places. Same thing with Parentes. They're waving our flag as well in their place.
So one thing I think you might be either excluding or just a slip of the tongue, but I actually have been going to West Shore Coffee, and I've seen your stickers all over the place. I saw your flag the other day. We snuck one of our own logos for the podcast right next to it without permission. Hopefully they don't track us down.
I think
and ban
that's
us.
fine, because if they mention us, they'll be like, "That's our boys. Don't leave it alone. Leave it alone."
But I was shocked. I went like, "Oh, you guys are you guys like supporting? Is West Shore going to be the coffee of choice?" And of course, I should also preface, West Shore in no way is sponsoring this podcast. West Shore, if you want to sponsor this podcast, let's talk.
We are fueled by caffeine.
So coffee every day.
I think a lot.
I also have a Volkswagen van, so like let's
there
connect.
You go.
Let's connect. But yeah, no. So I've seen you guys organically in the wild, and it's been really impressive. It's almost like geotagging or geocaching if you've ever done that, where it's like, where can I find my next Defiance sticker? So that's been really impressive. Is there a place that you feel like you haven't been able to cover yet? Is there a community you really want to focus or deep dive into to spread the gospel of Rhode Island FC?
I would say we haven't hit anything in downtown Providence, which is what we really want to. We actually are in contact with the president of the Liverpool supporter group here in Rhode Island, so maybe Murphy's Bar downtown. But we don't want to, bother them or like step on any toes because that's their area. Another place that you don't want
a West Side Story snap.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, they've
fish.
been all but kind to us. They even invited us to their Liverpool watch party event that they do, like where they like raffled off. They had like this whole block party event where they closed down this entire street just for Liverpool fans. So they did invite us. They wanted us there, and they have one of our flags. So hopefully if we can convince them, like, hey, put it in Murphy's, man. Like, we're more than happy, and then maybe we can work out with them to be another local business that we can add to the list of people that we support. But there are a few places that we definitely want to hit. More further down, we'll hit Barrington, we'll hit like Newport, Cumberland, we'll hit a couple places, but in due time. It does take a lot. We need to research to make sure that they are soccer friendly, if they even want us here, because I mean, there's not a lot of places that want soccer anything.
So when a listener gets your sticker, don't just tell them to slap it on the first thing that they feel is appropriate.
No, slap it on anything. Honestly, if you take one of our stickers, you're going to slap it. I have slapped it on a RIPTA bus already, and I don't think they have noticed. I've slapped it on RIPTA buses. I've slapped it on bus stops. I've slapped it on like...
What's the pinnacle slap on for a sticker? Because I feel like it's like a Dell's Lemonade car, like one of the soft serve.
If you go to the Narragansett Brewery and slap a sticker there and take a picture of it, I'm going to give you money. Like I'll do something. I'll give you something. I'll give you like a free shirt. So if you can do that, by all means, just show up.
Should we put that bounty out for listeners too?
Do it by all means.
Okay,
All right, you know what? If anybody, it's like so. If you take one of our stickers and you slap it in certain places, we'll hook you up with like a discount code.
So, listeners, if you can put a sticker on the top of the Superman building in downtown Providence,
if you put one there, I will personally give you a flag and a shirt.
There you go. That's at least $50
on top of the
merch.
Superman building.
Yeah. Okay.
And you have to take a picture. Like you have to show it. If you Photoshop, I know graphic design, so don't mess it.
So in all seriousness, but the feedback has been positive.
Correct. Yes. The feedback has been phenomenal. The people that are coming to our Instagram page or Twitter page have been very much like, oh, this is pretty cool. Our programs, we just rolled them out, but we've already seen a couple people that are interested in doing it. Besides the little, the little people that don't like have a problem with the group that translates from hating the team, which is like this minute thing that doesn't even exist. Yeah, it's been pretty good. We've been loving it.
So the community's received you. That's great. Is there any kind of feelings or sentiment that has been constructive that you've taken as a message to do differently?
Not differently, more so like, so it's either, it goes both ways. It's either you guys keep doing what you're doing, you guys are doing great, or it's that like 1%, and you can barely even call them 1%, that are saying that we shouldn't even exist in the first place. So,
but those are the people that hate soccer, they hate taxes in Pawtucket,
yeah.
They hate their lives. Those aren't people that want to see progress of any kind. Like, progress.
I can give you a name. Do you want it?
Those are
you know
the
who you
people,
are.
Those are the
They know who
people that literally, and I think I've mentioned this before on the pod, have the sticker, I never leave Rhode Island, and they're proud of it, right? It's just on the back of their car. And yeah, and so I hear you 100%.
I got you,
and we're not going to spend any energy or effort defending to the people that don't believe progress for the sake of progress.
No, not worth it.
Yeah, so as we head into the 2024 season, inaugural season, what would you guys say your biggest priorities are going like this home stretch?
as we head into this 2024 opening season, it's going to be huge, really. That's the first, we're a shiny new toy. Everybody's going to want to come here with a new soccer team. It's going to be something new to do on a Saturday night or so. So what our job is, as I said, being at Bryant may not ideal for some people, but what we can do as a supporter group is create an enjoyable experience and one that provides, because the thing with Bryant is it's a small stadium, so it's really easy for the atmosphere to be much more intimate than it would otherwise. So that's our job, to show that this is something worth coming back to, that once someone comes here, we want to keep them coming back. And the good thing about us is we pretty much have two kind of, it feels like we're going to have two opening seasons with 2025 when the Tidewater Stadium opens. So it really feels like we're going to have two, big opening seasons.
So can I ask a question around, I'm really curious, and I will save as a teaser for later in the year when we get to touch base with you guys again. But I'm really curious, how do you plan on setting up? So you had mentioned the bar that you'll start your home games at. But like, will there be a supporters group section that's going to be like kind of in front of the stadium as people walk in? Like, what do you envision that experience to be to excite and solicit people to join the Defiance?
So our plan since the beginning is we're all going to meet up at the home bar, and then maybe 20 minutes before kickoff, 30 minutes before kickoff, so everybody gets their ticket scanned and all that stuff, we're going to do a march. And we're going to try doing this every single home game. We're definitely doing it game day one. And you'll know we exist when that first day, because we already said we're going to have drums, we're going to have our snares, trumpets, trombones, we're going to have a battle flags flying, we're going to have a big banner of who we are, La Barra Bahia, and you're basically going to know who we are.
For the listeners that don't speak anything but the Queen's English, what is Barra Bahia?
So it basically translates the Barra of the Bay.
Barra is one of the words you can say for a supporter group, really. Yeah. And Bahia is just means bay.
Just means bay. So where the ocean stay, and of course that also gives a little, because we live near the bay, we live near the ocean. Save the Bay. If everybody's seen that, organizations before.
Again, not sponsored by them.
Not sponsored by them. No,
non-profit.
But great memories from when I was.
You want to sponsor us
when I was in school. So, but that's basically that's what that translates to. And thank you for correcting me, because sometimes I screw that up. But yeah, that's basically what you're gonna see. You're gonna see us with the smokes already in hand. You're gonna see us with flares outside the stadium, not inside the stadium. And then once we're sitting in our section, once we're in, you're gonna see us jumping up and down, hitting the drums, just singing these chants. You're definitely gonna see me starting up the chants, and of course, our goal was to just let people start the chants organically. Because in the end of the day, this group is not just for me, Joe, and the rest of the board. It's for the people that are sitting in our section. It's for you guys. So if you guys want to start a chant, by all means, I'm not going to stop you.
So are the chants going to be something that is sanctioned or approved from the club, or is it going to be and you guys are laughing. For those listening, as I'm sitting here, they're smiling, which I have no idea what their next answer will be. But I do know that there are some clubs that manufacture their chants to encompass the entire stadium. So a really good recent example that I learned of was Los Angeles Football Club. They teleprompt all of their chants so that way, because the screens are actually behind their supporters group. I forget the name of it right now.
3252.
3252, thank you. And so they can't even see it. But when they either have their timed windows to start that chant for the bigger stadium efforts, or just in general, if they start one, the production crew at the stadium will throw up that chant. So it's like, I equivalent it as a sing-along, where that little bouncing ball hits the words. And it's worked. The intensity and sound of that place is, second to none right now in the MLS, in my opinion. So curious, is there a partnership or an approval for that? Or will this be an internal organic, and it will very much be a defy the odds, defy the expectations, and remain a Defiance thing?
So we do have a plan for that. We know that the first year no one's gonna know our chants, no one's gonna know our songs. So we do have the in the arsenal like we have simple chants. We have Dale, we have like the simple Dale Dale Dale, and then team name Rody or something like that. So
we don't know yet, though.
Yeah, we don't know yet. Okay. We don't know how it's gonna go yet. But
listeners, do you want it to be Rody? Do you want it to be RIFC? Do you want it to be
or like people say like Dale 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 Rhode Island clap clap and then like Dale. So like we have that one in our set, and we've tried it at Little College and it works. And then everybody has already kind of did that RI clap clap FC. So they've done that already. So that's already been like a very easy one. But then we also have our ones where we want to have our chants where it's like very much like a long sing along, like that karaoke where people like, hey, that's their like their theme song kind of like that's how they're coming. And then of course we're gonna have our the reason why we smiled is because when you said like, oh, you're gonna have like regulated chants, it's like we've already been told like we have to show a list of chants, so we'll give them a list, but.
And then do whatever you want.
And then will it be accurate?
Brett Louie is going to listen to this in 7 weeks and be like, okay.
And again, this is going back to like when I said like we are not affiliated with them at all, so we don't have to. We will follow a lot of their rules because we don't want to get kicked out, but we won't follow too much of them because we want people to know that this is a place that they can feel like this is their group. So if they want to start a chant, as long as it's not against guidelines in certain cases, like we don't want what happening in Lazio happening here. You know what I mean? Like we're not a regime. We're not going to start chanting crazy stuff like that. But as long as everybody knows what they're chanting and everybody enjoys what they're chanting, who am I to stop people to chant what they want? And there are some chants that are going to be like, oh man, you're pushing the edgy envelope. But so far it's been like, I want to do that. Are you doing that chant? I want to do it with you. So it's very much like, they want to try it because they're like, oh, that's pretty cool. I can't do that at Gillette because they won't let me. But if you guys do it, we'll stand behind you. It's one thing me saying it through a microphone alone, and it's a difference between 500 of my fellow members of D36 singing it together. How are you going to stop us? So that's like that mentality that I have. But again, we will have our easy ones that everybody can join in. And then I'll have the ones that we have like pre-prepared. We're going to try people to get together like, hey, sing it with me, like a karaoke. Because once you say it once, it'll be ingrained in their heads. And if it's a good one, they'll want to do it again and again and again. And we just, again, if someone in the back wants to do that, like what do you think of Tottenham? But instead of like, what do you think of Hartford? And that's going to be funny as heck. You know what I mean? Like, so
I'm glad you didn't finish the rest of that because again,
right? Yeah,
family. Podcast,
no, exactly. Family podcast, and we'll after the podcast we can talk more about it, like I've done before. But that's what I want. I want people to enjoy themselves. I want people to have that experience that they don't have at Gillette. Because here at Bryant and here at Tidewater, we're going to be able to do a lot more things that they can't do over there.
So, what can fans expect of Defiance when the players take the field for the first time in 2024?
Well, right away, right off the bat, we're going to be out here, flags waving, huge battle flags waving out there. We're going to be out there, drums being loud as anything. You're going to be able to hear them all the way out in Providence and be playing in Smithfield.
That's a loud drum.
That is a loud drum. That is a lot of drum. Maybe exaggerating a little bit, but just a little bit. So we're thinking of a lot, really. And as mentioned earlier, we're planning a march right off the bat. We're planning a big march, and of course, it's going to be the first one we'll ever do. So it might not go, completely perfectly, but it's going to go in the way that we're planning for it to go, and we're going to have all our boys behind us. We're still going to make sure that we have an amazing time doing it, and we're going to show right off the bat because the first game undoubtedly will undoubtedly be huge. That's when we're going to have a lot of eyes on us. That's when, WPRI and everybody else is going to be there having their cameras out because it's a home game, That's when everybody's going to be looking at us. So right off the bat, we're going to show who we are. We're going to show that this is unlike anything else that you're going to find in Rhode Island.
Have you planned a TIFO yet, or does that kind of have to fall in line with maybe the first club you'll be with? And do we have bets on who the first club will face our mighty anchor?
I'm begging that
It's
our first
not gonna be
home
hard
game.
for him.
I know it won't, but I'm begging that our first people is our Derby rivals
No.
because we've already been like doing tit for tat already on Twitter, and by we I mean Kevin. so like, and I'll call him out for that. so like, I know it's not gonna happen, but it's a dream
Marketing
scenario.
wise, you would want that to be
Summer.
like 5th game in, the best weather possible.
I hope it happens in the summer because what we have planned for that away game is like we're gonna bring a bunch of our boys there and we're gonna make them feel so unwelcome.
Wait, hold on. You're leading into the derby. We'll talk about that in a second. But Tifo wise, do you have plans already? Is there ideas, or is this going to be something that comes in more organically next year?
I've already. So if you want to know more, like you have ideas for the Tifo, that's the best time to join our Discord. And this is like a little plug-in. But if you join the Discord and you have an idea and you're listening to this, that's the way to do
Not
it.
just
But
for Tifo,
so
any
far,
idea.
anything, banners. I mean, like so far, the battle flags that we have have been made by people in our Discord. Ideas for new banners are made in our Discord. So like even if it's like a crude drawing, at least we can send it over to one of our guys that knows how to draw a little bit better and get it started. And then like that's still your idea. You know what I mean? So. As for Tifo wise, my idea, I would love to use the likeness of Cthulhu because I mean that's like Rhode Island based horror story. Like I mean you got H.P. Lovecraft, the creator, and he's from Rhode Island. And I've already posted like what it kind of looks like. Thanks to you guys actually, like because you said like make it a pirate flag. I'm like even better. So I did like instead of I am Providence from what is on his headstone, it's we are Rhode Island, and it's like the skull of Cthulhu, and then like right on this forehead is like the stars, 13 stars, 1636, and that's like a nice little fear. So hopefully if we get that into a Tifo, that they'll know like we mean business.
A lot of people don't know this, but Rhode Island is infamous for piracy. So Thomas too. I learned this playing Drake Uncharted. But Thomas
Who said
too,
video games don't teach you
yeah,
nothing?
they're super historical. But yeah, Thomas too was a huge pirate, one of the biggest like top 10, and he was a Rhode Island based pirate. So there's just more ammunition.
Yeah,
for
more
the
ammunition, exactly,
craft,
more
right?
ammunition. Because I've already seen a lot of people like what they want. Like they want to bring like a fake cannon that we shoot every time we score a goal. I was like, yeah, you better talk to those guys over there. I can't even afford a cannon.
So you haven't heard this yet, but we have a suggestion.
I came up with a
we'll just
ridiculous idea.
We'll just recap it, I guess.
Recap it.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know, so that this isn't even a recap. This is new information.
Yeah.
Please spill
Well,
the
it
beans.
won't happen, but like
Yeah.
How do you know
Well,
it's not
so-
going to happen?
That's true.
Then you guys need to push it.
Yeah.
So Tidewater is right on the river. So have a giant anchor right over it. Got lights on it. We score, drop that buddy right in the water. Just huge splash.
Wow.
Right when we score.
And like the boat horn goes off. At the
Yo,
same
yeah,
time.
just
We'll make
that
a call
huge,
right
that
now.
foghorn.
And then the best part is you could have members of like because I think
Oh,
to
yeah,
the
pull it
timbers
back up.
when they cut
Yeah.
the log, you have members whether it's the capo or it's the support group. They pull the chain to bring it back up and lift it back up into its set position.
Yeah.
And then if another one gets scored, boom, splash. And it doesn't even have to be in the river. It could be like in
You
the
could make a
stadium, but
well
like
or
put like
something,
and you
yeah.
could put a splash pool and the water splashes like the kids around as long as it's done safely. Like
That's cool. I mean, honestly, I like that because I mean, like, there's a lot of supporter groups that do like these little traditions. I mean, Montreal has the bell.
Yep, we'll talk
Timbers
about
has the piece of wood that they chop up.
The Revs have
the
the
Revs have the
muskets.
muskets. Yeah. Atlanta have like the big. What is it called? The railroad spike that they slam down. So like there are like.
I've liked the Revs during the Leagues Cup, during the knockout. Have you seen and the Open Cup? They did it too.
Yeah, I don't like
Where,
that.
You don't like that?
The whole painting thing.
Where they paint the
No,
thing?
that's not new. That they've been doing this since the beginning. That's because they have a. It's funny enough because they call it the Defiance thing. They like because their jersey is called the
Right,
Defiance jersey,
Defiance,
so they
yeah.
do that as like defying other teams. So like they knock out a team, they do that rather thing. If you ask Revolution fans, this is stupid, this is corny. They don't even like it themselves. But the only time you like it is when you do it. Oh my god, I'm painting. Like you know what I mean? Like even they don't even like it. So it's like. I don't know, like traditions like that, like it's got to be something cool. That's why the muskets are cool. Like they're shooting blanks, kind of like how the old Revolutionary War. That makes sense. This painting thing is like I'm just roasting them at this point, but I just like no. Stop.
Someone's a hater.
No, I'm not a
Someone's a
hater. I feel like we can come up with something better than that, and I hope
pretty
they
low
do.
bar.
But I think that they're gonna give it up within the year.
I thought it was the cool because don't they auction it off afterwards?
No, they keep it.
They don't charity. I thought they charity.
Do they charity?
I thought they charitied that.
I never heard anything.
I've
about
never
that.
heard about charity. Yeah, I know
They
that.
just-
I know
they
that the
just keep it
supporter
in
group.
somewhere.
I know the supporter group. The Rebellion. Shout out to them, by the way, because we're great friends with them.
As you talk trash about the fort and the club.
No. I talk trash about the other side of the fort, but they're a whole different can of
Don't
worms.
name
That,
names.
I've had other choices.
We're not going to start supporter group conflicts on this podcast. That's
Sure.
we don't want to. We don't want
okay. But so those guys are great. The other side's a whole different can of worms. But they actually have a charity going on where every time the Revs score, they bury me in the pines. Where every time the Revs score, they plant 10 pine trees around the U.S. So it's like, dude, how is that not cool? So that's a good little thing where they slap like a pine tree on their little capo stand. So that's a cool little tradition because it helps.
So you kind of are leading into one of our next questions where, in terms of doing your homework as a brand new supporters group, I was thinking specifically to ask about from a USL perspective, but if you want to open this up to any other supporters group in the world, feel free to answer that with this question. But do you think there's another supporters group in the USL right now that does things exceptionally well? And is that something, not that you want to copy or emulate, but something that you want to take as an example to drive the concept and structure of what you're trying to accomplish here as Defiance?
I've watched as much USL as I could this year, trying to, study off our opponents next year. And one thing I've always taken a look to is the atmosphere of the stadium, not just the supporter group, but the whole stadium as a whole. Like, is the stadium clapping along? And just the supporter group as well. How are the drums sounding? How are the chants? Can you even hear them? And all this stuff, So, obviously the one that comes to mind in USL that if you ask anybody, most people will say is Detroit, of course. That's the main one people kind of look at. And
I haven't heard that. So Detroit hasn't even registered in my Google investigation so far. What makes Detroit City FC so popular as a supporter group?
They started pretty much on one of the bottom leagues of the US, and they were in, I don't even know what the first league was called, and moved up to NISA Division 3, and now they're in USL. So they started from down there at the bottom, and even when they were way down there, they were already known. I just made fun of Hartford for having their supporter section in the middle, but Detroit does the same thing, and they make it work. You can as the game kicks off, you can see a lot of smoke there, and they always have drums, and they have these you have all the supporter group stuff, but I think just having it in the middle of the stadium and them being really having that grassroots aspect of them, starting from so low and already having that amount of support, really made them known to a lot of people. But my pick for USL supporter groups might be, I've seen San Diego is one that stood out to me. And it's really interesting because the fans of San Diego are getting an MLS team, which was announced, unaffiliated with the Loyal. San
So
Diego
crazy
Loyal.
that is happening. By the way.
Really crazy.
I'm very
Big
interested.
L.
I'm very interested in seeing how the USL clubs in same market cities will perform over the next 5 years, and my eyes will be attached to San Diego and
Yeah.
Miami.
Yeah,
Generally, it
pretty
I'm
doesn't
just
bode
hoping
well.
that-
So I wonder, going forward, can they, if you say they have a very good support, can they be the ones that break that mold? Who can actually say, you know what, we can keep a second team
There's
here.
enough fans to support two
To support out of
clubs.
spite.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that they don't do what other teams do when it comes to that market where they move, because
like
it's-
Austin Bull.
like Austin, yeah.
And I don't. Do you guys know?
I don't know a lot about it. I just know that they're moving because they just can't compete with Austin. And if you look
And
at
they
the way
announced that
Austin,
when Austin FC first came in, and now they're
I've
you
heard
know,
rumors that they may just sell their franchise rights to recoup the $20 million buy-in.
they
Not
might-
confirmed for anyone listening. That's like, oh, hot off the press. But from what I've read, that there's suspicions out there that at this point it's just they're shopping their franchise. But I want to let you finish. So you were saying San Diego is a good supporters group. What is it about San Diego?
The drums.
Royal? The drums?
The drums.
So
plain and
to you,
simple.
it's the
Yeah.
volume.
Mm.
Okay. Do you agree with that, Irvin? Or is there anyone
Yeah, I
else
mean,
that
like
deserves a
the
shout-out?
Loyal is good, but the one that I've noticed is the Riverhounds. The Riverhounds is so far they got it down, and they actually started up pretty small, which I feel like will pretty much start as a supporter group. They started with like 10 guys, then they just reached out to the point where they fill out an entire section. People actually contribute. And then they have that tradition where they blew the blowhorn, like the horn with the DeWalt horn. So that's pretty cool. So hopefully, I mean, I would like one with like a tugboat. That'd be pretty sick. Like just something like nautical themed. You know what I mean? That'd be pretty cool because I think theirs is that's affiliated to like the train in that area.
Yeah, it's the Steel Yards.
Steel
and the
Yard,
They have a
Yeah,
train.
so,
They have
yeah.
a train right there.
Right.
Their
yeah,
stadium.
Runs
exactly.
like right on the outside of
Yeah.
the stadium.
So
yeah.
that's like the cool part about like how like they've shown them. It's like, dude, look at the area that we're in, and then look at our supporter group. It's like pretty cool. So I like their attitude, but I think he's saying the reason why you probably didn't know about like the whole Detroit thing is that like a few years ago they were the talk of the town, and if there is a Copa 90 documentary about them and how they like help their community and like how awesome they bring, like they like always filling up their stadium with smoke. And they're just always looking pretty cool. Now I think that have dwindled down a little bit. That's why you don't really see them on
Might
the
be
radar.
because of
But that doesn't
USL.
mean that they don't. Yeah, that doesn't mean that you can't like give them. You can't still give them props for what they've done
Of course.
and what they can come back to being. Because I feel like once more teams come in, once this pro relegation thing happens with USL, which I hope it does happen,
Fingers
I think
crossed.
you'll start seeing a rise of fans. I'm like, this is gonna be great because every single game is gonna matter to these guys. And it's going to bring those fans, like every game is going to be like that nail-biting three-pointer that we need to make sure that we stay on top of the group. So there's a lot of great supporter groups around the area. New Mexico's another one too that I've been looking into. But honestly, I like them all, and each of them have little bits.
So in terms of doing that homework, have you seen something that you want to make sure you differentiate yourselves as a supporters group from? Other than like, you said the middle of the stands, which it sounds like it can go either way depending on the quality of that supporters group itself. Is there something that you're going to bring differently? Is there something that you want to make sure you're known for doing differently as we enter the league next year?
I think we're going to still kind of talk about what we want to do differently.
Keep it hush for now.
Keep it hush for now,
Don't
yeah.
let your enemies know your moves. I respect it.
I mean, I think we still want our guys to also come up, contribute things, because we don't want to come up with everything. We want it to be natural as well. And if there's a tradition that they come up with that they like, I'd be more than happy to adapt it. And I think the team will be more than happy to adapt it as well. If there's a song that's played before games, if there's a walkout song that's played, if there's something that we can do, like we pop a certain amount of smoke at a certain time, like a certain color gets placed. If we do like those tifo, something like that, like we'll come up with somewhat of a tradition, but I want it to be more natural than me just saying like this is what we're doing.
All I will say though is we've been refs fans for years, and the game day experience, we have a lot of ideas on how it could be better. So we're not going into this whole supporter group stuff with a 100%, we have no idea what we're getting ourselves into. We have an idea where we can improve on to differentiate ourselves from not just the boys in Foxborough, but everyone else. But that's all. That's what I'll leave it at. We definitely
You
have
don't
that
want to
experience.
tease like one thing you'll do differently, like one hot topic or one item that is like you're going to bring this to the community so that the fans can see it. Tease our listeners, Joe. Tease them and let them know.
What can I say without giving too much away?
Or you could just give it away.
Whatever you want, man. Don't hold me on this. Alright, you shoot yourself.
Yeah, no.
Radio silence. Listen, our first rejection, Jason. I'm not sure how I'm gonna handle. I may have to cut this out later.
Oh, boo!
Come to Brian.
Nah,
See
you
for
gotta
yourself.
keep it running, yeah.
So, do you guys have any goals for the Tidewater Stadium looking to, the inaugural season when we eventually make it there?
I mean, there are a few goals that we want. We want to definitely bring more people because I know that stadium's going to hold a lot more than what we're getting a section in.
10,000, I think,
Burn,
right?
Yeah,
is
we're
what
getting
they're saying.
10,500. and hopefully like, you know, fingers crossed, we get a safe standing, so it brings more people in the area.
Do you have an anticipated threshold of like what the immediate sections will hold? Like, do you know that for
I have no
Brian?
idea. No.
No?
So like all I can think of is like we might be able to fit in our little section maybe like 300 guys, which is like maybe even less.
Which
I don't know.
stadium? At Bryant?
Bernie.
Okay.
Yeah, Bernie. So Bryant definitely like 200-300 people. For Tidewater, definitely more than like 500. Like a whole section probably we might hold like that, like 1,000 people right there. But it just depends on, you know, how they kind of section us off from supporter to just general public. So we don't have like an idea of what we want to do. The goal is to get for people to get used to what we do, and then when they come and sit with us, they already know like they already know the experience. All right, get ready to bang the drums at this moment. Get ready to play this song. Get ready to like start something. Hey, does anybody want to throw something out? All right, yeah, let's do it. You know, like everybody hold each other, bounce up and down, you know.
And we've been
like
talking mainly about what's going to go down in the supporter group. Like, how can I say it? The supporter section itself, with all the guys who are in the group, on the Discord, suggesting all the chants, you know. But we've been also really thinking about the average person who's going to go to RIFC games and who'll sit in, you know, the midfield, and even across from us on the other side of the stadium. We've been thinking about them as well and how we can get them involved. So we've been thinking about one of the things that we definitely want to do is involve a lot of chants that are simple right off the bat, that anybody else in the stadium because I know from experience that there are a lot of people who just don't like to chant for whatever reason. And so a good solution to that is, hey, we're going to have some chants.
And then you do the wave.
You know what's crazy? A lot, like I don't mind the wave. If they do it, then if it comes naturally,
I can't stand it.
I don't think the wave
I hate
has
it.
any business in soccer.
So like, I mean,
Keep
are
it
you
in
sure?
baseball. Keep it.
I hate it.
Okay, listen. There's a reason the wave exists. Okay, the wave exists to fill in that dead time or dead space between action in the sport. So for baseball, it's perfect. You're waiting between pitcher and baseballs. Maybe there's been a batter change. There's been a pitcher rotation. And it's like, hey, I've got nothing to do for the next 30 seconds. I'm going to start a wave. And then people that are bored with it, maybe the score is not that great. I don't know. Maybe the product's not that great on the field. They pay more attention to that wave. Soccer is the one sport that is so fluid that you really can't take your eyes off. I mean, you can, but you can't take your eyes off of it to see that beautiful moment. So the wave is a distraction to watching ongoing fluid sport.
So I'll give you another one then forget the wave.
But do it. No. I mean,
if it starts,
that's not what I was going to suggest.
Well, we don't state. The wave makes sense by the name. I'm just simply saying it has no business in soccer in general.
Especially in the ocean.
Because the fans love it. Who am I to say what the fans should have or shouldn't have? You know
and
what I mean?
that's our main like purpose. Like that's our main goal philosophy is that like we don't want to stop. Say, hey, don't do that wave. You know, like we're gonna lead the thing. No, if you guys are gonna start the wave, okay, let's
make
see
it a tidal wave.
Make it let's make it big.
Flood the pitch.
Or like we can do like how they do it in Argentina, like that Argentinian wave, like dale, oh, dale,
hands,
like that handshake.
Hand
If you see everybody doing this and
it's
singing and watching the game, it's not like, whoa.
Oh, yeah, I've seen the
like,
Instagram videos of those stadiums crumbling at the joints because they can't
falling
support.
apart.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it happens, it happens.
I mean, that's not the Tidewater.
No, definitely not.
It'll be a brand new set. Give it 100 years, and then if it might struggle a little bit.
That's fine. But like, I'm not saying we're gonna be like the Bombonera, but like, I'm just saying like we should have something that people can enjoy. You know, people can do. That's easy to do. Like that clapping, like you know what I mean. Like they can like stomp their feet on the floor, boom, 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 boom. You know, like something like that. That's easy. You don't have to chant. I know that there are people that aren't going to be able to, not because they don't want to, because they just can't, because they're either disabled or they just don't feel the confidence yet. But guess what? Yeah, uncomfortable doing it. But guess what? You can do this. You can wave your hands. You can clap. You can stomp your feet.
I can't
without
clap.
even saying
I'm not
anything.
Coordinated.
You can jump.
I'm the person that claps offbeat. You know, everyone does the time, and I'm still.
That's fine. I mean, that's fine.
That's still
that's fine.
Still noise.
If you watch videos
Noise
of
is noise.
supporter groups banging La Repique, like sometimes they're offbeat, but that's fine. Just hey, pick it up, man. You're doing it with us. They even let little kids that are like 12 years old that don't even know how to like keep a timing still do it, and it sounds perfect because guess what? They're getting involved and they like it, and it like makes them smile. So that's the beauty of that, you know what I mean?
Right.
The fact that they can, like, a 10-year-old can do our chant and, like, sing, Dale, Dale. You know, like, that's what you want. You want that 10-year-old, you want that 5-year-old, you want those kids to, like, be in the front and go, I want to chant with these guys, I want to sit with the crazies, I want to sit with these dudes, and then they end up becoming a longtime fan. That's what's going to make me feel like we've accomplished something. If 1 turns into 2, 2 turns into 4, and it keeps going on and on and on, that's a new generation of fans that when we decide we're done with Defiance, they take it over, they know, and they bring their passion, and it keeps going. Because this isn't a project for now. This is a project for down the line for new generations to come. Same thing with the club. That's why I always tell people, you love your club and support it because this will be here for a long time.
It's club, blood, everything else. Yeah, 100%.
Your club is like, sometimes like I love my club more than I love my family. So
That's
like,
why it's above blood.
exactly.
And if your blood gets into the club,
Bueno, even better.
Gotta go get tested.
to kind of shift gears here for a second as we start to wind down on this part 2. What did you know the news about ProRel? We saw the excitement at the beginning of last month around the possible prospect of it. The organization as a league has delayed now because they need to unpack some of what they had thrown out there. What is your impression on ProRel in like let's not have a 30-minute debate about it, but like let's get the talking points.
We were overjoyed about seeing ProRel come to the U.S. Initially, I'll be honest, when I was a European soccer fan, I was only supporting European soccer, didn't know anything about MLS. I was like, okay, yeah, ProRel for MLS. Yeah, even though I watched nothing of MLS, then I supported the Revs. And I'm like, okay, no, this ProRel stuff it's gonna kill the teams, cost too much money. Then now being a fan of a lower league team, you can really see why it's important to have those grassroots connections and being able to support your local team and have them come up in the big leagues. I've gone full circle with it pretty much. So being able to see your local club play at the highest level is something you won't get anywhere else in this country. Your little team from a city that most people can't even name, it would be a dream to most people, and I doubt that we get it anytime soon at an MLS level, but to see it in some form with USL is just really just a huge step that I'm really looking forward to see unfold.
Do you echo that sentiment?
I echo it like 100% because I mean, like, I'm in the same boat with him. I know what pro relegation can do for a small team. Just recently, the local team in my area of Guatemala, Deportivo Zacapa, just won their league and is now playing with the likes of Municipal, Comunicaciones, and Antigua. They're playing in the first division of Guatemalan soccer. So, like, the fact that this small stadium will host Comunicaciones, and, like, I'm talking about small. Like, if you think Bernie Stadium's small, you should see their stadium where it's, like, just built on, like, cement blocks. Like, they're ecstatic. They're so happy. They had a whole parade in their town. Like, so, like, that's what could happen for us, where we can say, like, we're going to be better than the big boys, and we're going to show it. Because the only time we even have a chance to prove that is through the U.S. Open. Now, I'm not saying MLS will embrace it, but I hope they see what it means for these little clubs. I know that money talks, but guess what? That's how you grow soccer. Those small guys have a chance to play with the big boys, and then if they don't perform, then guess what? They'll go down. And guess what? Maybe your big boys won't perform. I mean, we were already just saying, like, Inter Miami was not so good until they got Messi. Sorry.
That was the intention.
Oh,
That was intentional.
And they're still, technically, they're still in last place.
They are still in last place, but now they have a chance to win 2 trophies because now
Everyone expects that
Messi
to
is
change.
playing in the Open Cup.
That is like the weirdest
against
timeline we're
Cincy,
in, right?
And then they're the favorites to win the League's Cup. So it's like
They are still in the running. As insane as it is, a last place club is still in the running for a treble.
right.
Yeah, there's a lot of parity in the league. They could just go on and win every single game.
No. It's not a parity. They could win the Leagues Cup, which is a CCL play.
No,
they could win the Open Cup, and they could win the MLS Cup. They'll
Well,
never get supporter shield.
The
They're way
parity
too far off.
the parity in MLS allows them to sneak into the playoffs, and like they don't have to like become first in their division. They just have to get in.
This basically became a career mode in FIFA where you just decided, hey, I'm just going to take this injection of $1 billion.
Oh, the thing they do right at the beginning when you start the game, like, do you want $1 billion?
FIFA coins.
Yeah. So like, you know, and then like they're in the middle of the season, like maybe I should take that billion. Boom, inject your money in there, and now they're like top of the league or whatever. So that's basically what they're doing now. So like it's just like if we can show them like, listen, it should be a little bit more fair. I understand money talks. I understand like sponsors and all that stuff. But guess what? If they weren't good enough to stay in MLS, then maybe you should spend a little bit more money on them. Maybe then money isn't what you needed in your club. Maybe it was more in your youth academies. It just gives them that like, okay, how the heck do we get back to MLS? How can we do better? And guess what? That's what these smaller teams like Rhode Island is going to do as well. How do we get ourselves to stay in the championship and not go to League One? And how do we keep Hartford in League Two? Because that's where they belong.
So that's the 2025 priority.
Yeah,
Great.
Hopefully. And starting small because it'll be a long while, if ever, before it comes to MLS. Thinking about just USL here. I want to say that it would be a big move because look at MLS. They just signed this big Apple TV deal and they have, you know, Messi in the league now, a name recognized all over the world. Like people who don't usually talk to me about anything local soccer, like I'm like, hey, did we already play Miami? When's Miami coming next week? How can I get tickets and all this stuff? That's his impact.
Didn't the Revs play Miami?
Right, but it wasn't even here. But they still sold like 30,000 tickets.
Yeah.
So it's like that impact was there even before he was there. Just the fact that the name is associated to Miami, they still want to be like, oh, let me check this team out, and we smash.
That's his impact.
Listen, gentlemen, if we see Messi in the Open Cup, whether it's home or away,
we're booing him.
Well, I mean,
our section.
We're going, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, we're going. I mean, we're already guaranteed, but like you will not see me cheer him down until the end of the game, where I'm like, okay, good job, well played. But those 90 minutes, don't even expect me to cheer. Boo, boo! You're gonna hear all of it. But I mean, like you said, I actually don't mind the delay of the whole meeting because, like I said before, just like the stadium, these things take time, and it's better to not rush.
Yeah, and
So
my point
let them
was
take their time.
my point bringing up that was USL. This is a good move for USL to kind of differentiate themselves. They need to differentiate themselves. They need something. You know, MLS is this big bad giant who's gonna go in and they're taking their clubs. They just took San Diego, left the Loyal in the dust, and that's just gonna keep happening. I mean, we're gonna see.
To be fair, though,
Indianapolis, Indy 11. They built this huge stadium with intent of coming to MLS.
Right, but that's the history of USL, right? Is they poach the best teams in terms of popularity and bring them up. Like Louisville, Phoenix Rising, and Indy are all still probably trying to chomp at the bit to get one of those last expansions.
I'm sure they are.
I got you.
Mm-hmm.
So no,
but then I guess what it is like what's gonna happen when they reach there, because Don Garber has said once we reach 30 we're just gonna end it
Don
there.
Garber said that many times.
Yeah, so like I don't know what's gonna happen when you get 30 clubs and then that's it. Are you gonna keep opening up the expansion?
Maybe
Are you
one
gonna
more.
do it?
I wouldn't be surprised if he gets to 40. It's a very American thing to over and expand and then do like a 20 per conference and then just meet up in the finals.
So that's what I mean. I feel like USL, if they're the ones to turn the cog and get them to realize that they need to do it like the rest of the world, then by all means, let us be the guinea pigs to do it.
Agreed.
Let us be the guinea pigs to do it.
Fortune favors the bold.
Yes, sir.
So, I already know this, but for our listeners here, you guys have any membership for Defiance? Can you give us any details?
We actually just had a meeting about it. So there's 3 tiers to the membership that we wanted to make sure me, Joe, Kevin have made sure that we wanted to make sure it's affordable, but you also get your money's worth if you get the other tiers. So I mean, there's the $10 tier, there's the $25 tier, and there's the $45 tier. And
And to be clear, though, that's separate from your ticket purchase.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, we're not.
Understand.
Yeah. The membership helps us for when it comes to materials. keeping our website open, keeping merchandise up for you guys, and keeping it just helping us around. If you want a TIFO, guess what? That's going to come out of the shirt sales and membership sales. If you want, if we need more instruments, guess what? That's where it's going to come from.
Everything you see in the stadium comes out of memberships, really.
Now, I don't know this for sure, but I'm going to assume that in other clubs that already have a supporters group attached, that sometimes is a requirement to buy tickets through the supporters group. Now, I know you guys are not in control of that. We mentioned that earlier. But having said that, is there an expectation that if they are purchasing tickets, there's some expectation to donate and participate in a membership program, or is that completely voluntary?
It's completely voluntary. I mean, if people want to join us because they just see what we're doing and they want to help out and they'll get something out of it, then by all means. I know that our second and third tier, it's going to come with our knitted scarf. So it's going to be an exclusive scarf, a new scarf every year. So it's going to be like that very collectible type of item thing. And then, of course, it's going to come with a membership card, which will give you discounts at local businesses that we've been talking to before, which, again, helps our local businesses, draws in people into those local businesses that may not even know they exist. You know what I mean? Because before, I don't think anybody knew what Los Munchies was, and then I talked about it, and then they've been telling me. I've got a couple people that have been coming here with RIFC's logo on it. I appreciate that. So that's already making a small impact, so why not?
Awesome. So, having said all this, you guys are continuing to grow. You're all over the place in terms of the social space. But what's the best way a listener or someone just new or curious about Rhode Island FC or Defiance themselves, what's the best way they can get in contact with you guys?
Join the Discord, plain and simple.
How do they join that today? Because I've actually already had someone reach out to me in personal DMs going, you've mentioned this on your podcast, but I don't know where this is. So how can they find it?
We have Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff at RI Defiance 1636, and we have a link tree with that name as well. And in that link tree is the name of our Discord server. So just join up. You can introduce yourself, and you can start suggesting stuff right away, and just start talking RIFC. We're all there. We're all active. So
basically, just any social media that you go to from us, the link that you see in our bio gives you all the links to everything else, our shop, our Discord. Basically, what he says, that's where you pretty much find everything you need to know about us. So that's very easy for you guys to know where we come from. Just look us up, and you'll know where. Basically, connect the dots. You'll know where to go from there.
Awesome. And then, are there any upcoming events?
Planning to have presence at the Festival Guatemala. It's a festival for around for Guatemalans, of course. So we're definitely, given our background, it's okay, we have to do this. We definitely want to have presence there and get people involved. And we also had an event earlier at a Portuguese festival too, and it was a big success. So we want to replicate that at this Guatemalan one. And we also have planned more watch parties. And another thing is we're calling it a local soccer tour. We're thinking of visiting different college soccer stadiums. First, we're going to do Bryan, because of course it's going to be our home. But another one we're looking forward to is URI and Providence College, because you know the history behind those two. So expect to see us around plenty. And again, in our Discord, we have a full schedule that says literally everything that we're going to have presence at or we're going to have planned.
Yeah, so we have all those events posted up on our Discord, and we'll also post it on our stories on our Instagram, post it on Twitter, our college tour, our festivals around the area. So anything that could be intriguing that we can bring more eyes to the group and, of course, to the team, we'll try to be there.
Are there any plans to attend a USL game this year? Obviously, Hartford is the closest place.
We've been thinking about that for a while.
We were thinking about that. Well, I mean, I don't think there's enough of us for an invasion. I think if we go there, maybe discreetly show our hats, we're here, but not make any ruckus. We'll let them do their thing. But yeah, we've said before that we want to go talk with the Hartford president, vice president, the guys that lead that group, and just kind of say hey guys, we are who we are, and can't wait to battle you guys next year and make a mutual agreement. 90 minutes, go full out, and then after that.
Hopefully, we can find time to do that sometime later this year because we know they're now making playoffs. So it'd have to be.
Yeah, we gotta go to at least one game. So I mean, no diss, but that's just straight facts.
Now I don't know if this can be shared yet, but I believe Rhode Island FC is committed to figuring out some way to support you guys in your away day trips.
Yeah, no,
to
it's
Hartford,
yeah.
right?
This is like public already. This was something that they told us that we can do. So we've asked this because it was one of the questions. They have supported if we bring enough people to help us charter a bus to Hartford Athletic for that away game because they want to bring the most people. So if we can get enough people to be interested in it and sign up and get the ticket to go there, they'll help waive any SeatGeek it's SeatGeek, right? That's where it's SeatGeek fees or anything like that. And just help us get as much people as we can there. But I mean, even if they don't help us in that way, which I mean, I'm not even going to say they're not. They will definitely help us. But if they don't, it's an hour and a half trip. We're all going to be there in stride. We're all going to have our little parking lot, and we'll have our own little section as well. Security, make sure that you guys are safe. So that rivalry will be a nice, fun rivalry where we're just going to have a bunch of our boys, Amber and Blue, ready to go.
Who's the club outside of Hartford you're the most excited looking forward to playing, whether that's away or home in 2024?
I think the only one is Hartford, just because of the rivalry, and they are also helping. But I think another one I would love to see the Riverhounds play.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
they have a really beautiful stadium, and it looks similar to how Tidewater is going to look, being by the river and all. Yeah. But to give an answer to that question, I'd say it's whoever we play for the very first game of RIFC's career. I'm planning to fly over wherever it is.
So we agree that it's an away game because of the weather?
I think so, because of the weather. I think
what USL does is they delay the Eastern Conference. Well, not all of them, but, like
the Northeast.
Hartford and all that. Yeah, the Northeast. They delay them until later in the season to give them the first home game. So they'll undoubtedly do that for us as well. So
I'm actually hoping it's Tampa Bay Rowdies.
See, I'm hoping it's actually cross country and it's Vegas.
Oh man,
because what an exciting reason to bring people to Vegas! Like
you have an excuse to go.
Because you have an excuse to try. It's just good politics to put it in a city where there's something else to do, to spend the time and money to fly somewhere. Like I'm all about. I mean, I guess technically Tampa Bay is no one can complain about Florida weather.
I mean, there's Miami FC as well. If you want to go check out Miami as well for that.
Just don't make it Tulsa. Don't make it Tulsa, Oklahoma for.
I mean, we've said too. I mean, I wouldn't mind doing like a Sacramento or like Phoenix Rising. So I wouldn't mind like New Mexico would be pretty cool to go see. Like Western Conference teams like that would be pretty cool. But like Eastern Conference, I would love to see. The Riverhounds. I would love to see Miami, Tampa Bay Rowdies. Of course, that Hartford rivalry. I definitely want to go to Hartford, even though there's nothing to do over there. Besides like a gas station that they probably hang around.
Hey, they've got New Haven pizza that they love to brag about in New Haven.
One place. When they come down here, they're going to freak out. They're like, there's everything here.
So, to kind of tie off on the USL piece, North Carolina has been re-announced. They'll be obviously be joining the East with us now, so we have a sister club rejoining for 2024. That will put Tulsa, everyone's assuming, and I think it's right to say Tulsa will be going to the West. Do you think there will be any additional lens on new school meets old school rejoining? Do you think there will be, because originally, remember, up until 5 days ago, the pressure was that it was just us. So the focal point of the league's performance for the year was going to be us. Now, a club who self-relegated themselves is now coming back up. Any thoughts, or not concerns, but any thoughts on that subject?
Next year we have, not next year, the year after we're going to have, I don't know if it's
there could be
next year,
16
but we're
clubs
having,
in 2 years joining this league.
Definitely.
It's
but
crazy
what's
right
planned
now.
is Milwaukee, I know is one of them.
Milwaukee, Iowa, Arkansas, and NOLA.
Arkansas was... NOLA and Arkansas was like the new ones that just recently got announced, right?
Yeah. And we don't even know if those will be USLC. Those could be potentially USL 1 now.
They're planned to be USLC.
The Akron, Ohio project, we don't know how that will be announced. So.
I think the more the merrier, honestly. It just makes it more reasons to have pro-rel. I mean, there's more reasons to just look how many teams are coming in. And on top of that, you don't have to spend $1 billion to join a league. You can just do it in USL in a market that
for 20
definitely
million.
needs. Yeah. 20 million compared to the 500 million.
Cool 20 million.
A cool 20 million for a soccer club compared to a soccer team that's like you have to spend 500. What is it like? Is it 500 million to
It's $500 million for MLS right now.
MLS? Yeah,
500
500 million.
$20 million in 1914 U.S. Open Cup money is like $100, so it's perfect.
I'm just saying, like, I feel like it's USL is showing that, like, you know, grassroots is the way to go. And then if you make it to MLS, then guess what? That's more reasons to do pro relegation. Show these guys that they can do it.
So I won't ask you for projections for 2024's winner because you have to legally say Rhode Island
Rhode
FC.
Island FC.
Who do you think will be the champions out of the West, though, that will meet in the final?
I say Sacramento again. Sacramento's just been tough.
They've been really
tough, man.
From the teams I've watched, I'm liking the Colorado Springs Switchbacks. They've really, like, I don't know what it is about them.
It's that Capelli Sport jersey that they have.
You don't have to.
I guess.
I just really like the way they play. Their defense is really strong, but as you just mentioned about MLS's parity, USL has just as, if not more, parity as MLS does, so it could be completely different next year. I don't know, but I'll say Colorado Springs.
I'm supporting El Paso Locomotive for the year, and when I started this support,
how's that train?
I was in third position, and now 4 podcasts later, I am out of the playoffs, I think. So it is the parity, the tightness of the competition, and the kind of interchange back and forth of position jumping in the rankings it's super exciting to see. Unless you're a Las Vegas Lights or a Hartford Athletic fan right now, it's just really rewarding to know that like anything is possible in the league.
I'll take Las Vegas over Hartford.
I mean, again, you're legally required.
Legally required, yeah. I'm legally required to start beef with them. Yeah.
So, guys, this has been an honor. This has been a pleasure. Really excited to do this again in the future. I think ending it on the final word with your guys' kind of thoughts and comments. What's something else that the listeners need to know that we haven't covered today?
Well, I mean, I think we've covered a good amount of it. There will be new stuff. I mean, we're growing bit by bit every single day as a supporter group, and what you need to know about us is that we're here to bring the heat. We're here to bring the passion that we have had since day one of loving soccer. We're here to bring that Central American, South American vibe to here. And we want you guys to know that like we are an open group. We're not gonna tell you that you can't join because you're not from this area. If you're a Rhode Islander and you love Rhode Island FC, by all means join the supporter group culture because we're here to be your family. You are La Familia. You're part of us. So, and we're here to be as open as possible to make sure that you guys have a good time and you guys know that this is going to be the supporter group that you can support. So every single day we're growing, every single day we want to help our community, and every single day our mission has not changed. So we hope that just by listening to us now and hopefully in the future you listen to us more, that you'll be enticed to join us and help us in our cause.
And as I said previously, as Irvin said, I should say, our group is very open. Anybody can be a part of things. The people who come up with ideas, it's not just me, not just Irvin, not just Kevin, who's the other dude on the board. It can be anybody, really. So what I'd leave you guys with is to, you can find us on socials at Defiance 1636. And if you go to our bios on any of those, we have a link tree. And there you can find our Discord server. Just join up, introduce yourself, and you can talk with either of us. And we have different channels. You can pitch your ideas on literally anything. There's a place for everything there. If you just want to talk general RIFC when we start signing players, because that's going to be a huge thing. So we're looking forward to the upcoming, these next couple of months, and to the listeners, we hope to see you not just in the Discord, but if you step outside, we hope to see you come across one of our stickers or one of our flags just hanging out in the wild. So looking forward to that.
We just want to thank you guys for inviting us over, and we want to thank everyone that will come from this, and we can't wait till 2024 because like we said, we're bringing the heat. We're so excited to do it now. Like, honestly, we're ready to just do it now and get it over with and, like, really just bring the noise. Show that we as a small state can come up with big things.
Great. Up the tide.
Up the tide.
Up the tide.
Up the tide. Yep, there we go. Up the tide.
And we're back. So that was a lot of fun having those conversations with those guys. I'm glad that they loved our anchor idea. I don't think they want to do it because it's not in control for them. It would be someone at the stadium being responsible unless they're given they get to control like the chain that releases
They
the
have to
anchor,
pull it back up.
and then they have to pull. Oh, they'd hate it. We'd be putting them to manual work. And it sounds like we're 50-50 on whether or not the wave will show up at Tidewater in 2025.
It's gonna happen. Come on, let's be.
If it does, are you gonna be that mad that the wave shows up? Like you
No,
don't
no,
have
I
to.
mean, like,
I don't participate in the
If
wave.
we have a conversation about it, I'm gonna be angry about it. But if it just happens, it just is what it is.
And then also too, I don't know if it will actually because Defiance won't do it, and they're gonna be at one. Like it requires the momentum. And if Defiance is big enough at that point, they'll just already be jumping. Like they'll just go like silent for 2 seconds and like actively fight that happening.
I guess it'll depend on how the fan turnout is at Bernie Stadium. If we have a lot of casual, new, like, oh, hey, what is this type of people, it'll happen. If that doesn't happen till Tidewater, then maybe that's where we'll see it, where we,
I don't think it'll happen at Bernie. There's not
Yeah.
if there's not enough circular personnel to bring that around. Because remember, you've got like that boxed building suite house that's at the end of one of the sections on one of the goal sides. And then you've got like the player benches and it's really thin back there with like executive presence. That might even be where the suites go. So like I could easily see waves not being sustainable in Bernie. But like once you get the stadium, the bowl, that's
yeah,
a
especially
recipe for
like,
danger.
10,000 people stadium will probably, be some sellouts there with people being excited. Yeah, it'll just happen. It's fine. It is what it is.
Agreed. Any other takeaways from what you heard? I was really surprised when they made the comments about they're going to follow the rules that have been established by the club, and some they don't intend to follow as well as they maybe should. Like again, I don't know supporter culture well enough to understand like where's the healthy pushback and resistance, where's the partnership, and like how can the two coexist within the space. I've never seen that before, so being told that really, really kind of interesting to see how that'll shake out for both the club and the supporter group.
Yeah, I mean they're young guys. I think it's just a rebel against authority type thing. I think that realistically, from what we've seen in supporter culture here in the U.S., like this is not some like crazy South American thing or some like ultras in Italy where
they are
like,
not ultras. They actually
I know,
lectured
that's
us in
I'm
a good way
saying,
about it.
That they are not them. I don't think we have to be worried about anything ridiculous from them. I just think that they don't want to. It's like no one likes someone to be telling you what to do, telling you what to say. Like they want. I think they want their stuff to feel more organic, come from the heart. It's like this is our expression of supporting, and I think they understand that they only can do so much to not like scare people away, because at the end of the day, they are public/private kind of area with other people, and that there could be some issues there.
I agree with that, and I was surprised too when they said that like there's expectations already. I know from a liability standpoint, the club has to come out and make those kinds of like proclamations and statements. But it's also probably in the club's best interest to funnel as much creative effort into letting the Defiance 1636 be what they need to be. Because if you don't get the Defiance on board, this club will not be successful. Not in terms of attendance. Maybe they'll have a winning season, but I will believe when I went into my first soccer game in the United States, the thing that sold me wasn't necessarily just what I was watching on the field. It was the excitement, it was the passion, it was the response from the crowd on the goals, it was the environment itself, which I had never seen in the other sports I had followed, in like baseball and in gridiron and in hockey. Like fans go and they just focus on the game, like they don't like interact, they don't really like care about each other. But soccer's different, and so I would be really curious to see how RIFC truly supports the supporters group, or if this will be an always like at odds and ends kind of experience between the two relationships.
Yeah, I think realistically they know they need them to a certain extent, so they can't, just push them away, but you also can't just let them do whatever they want.
I don't disagree with that one bit. I think as long as they're not shooting fireworks off in the section, I think or punching people and saying like inappropriate things to the level of inappropriate that matters. I mean, it's a supporters group. You're gonna hear some naughty talk.
Yeah, with sports, there's always a certain amount of trash talk, but it's just trying to keep it like a respectable level where it's not personal attacks and
Right.
things
Like
that.
you don't talk about Harry Kane's mother to Harry Kane. Like you keep that out your mouth, right? Oh man, too funny. All right, well then let's jump into events. So listeners, it's the same events we've listed the last few times. Nothing really new to report here, but this coming Sunday on 9/10, Defiance 1636 will absolutely be at Festival Guatemala at Roger Williams Park. So make sure you go by and say hi at their tent and give them some love and ask about memberships to their organization if you're looking to do that at this time, or if you just want to understand how you could join in on the seating areas for what they'll be offering at Bernie. And then on Saturday, September 16th, Rhode Island FC will actually be at Brown University watching the Brown Bears versus the Bryant Bulldogs at 7 p.m. So if you want to go kind of see that or just watch one of the collegiate games, have fun. Maybe we'll see a future RIFC player in one of these games. Maybe it's like both an event coordination and also like a scouting exercise, right?
Yeah, maybe they're there to scope out what's going on.
I bet you, in the grand scheme of things, I would not be surprised if we don't have, if not in the starting 11 or in the rotation of 23, like I wouldn't be surprised if we see some players from Providence College, from Bryant University, from Brown end up in the mix, along with like New England Revolution Academy, MLS Next, or even 2 players. I wouldn't be surprised if we loan, poach, or recruit players from this immediate area.
Yeah, definitely. You want to see the club. They talk a lot about being local, so I think it's really important that we get some local boys out there.
Got to get those local boys. So what listener questions do we have tonight?
All right, so we got one here from Steve.
Just one tonight?
Yeah, just
Oh, man.
solamente uno. I really appreciate you guys putting this podcast together. It's helped make my Fridays more bearable. Since we don't know the team composition yet, if you guys could build a team, what kind of style of play or formation would you choose?
Steve, first of all, appreciate the kind words. Second of all, what a great question. What a great exercise that we probably can't give too much time to keep this podcast from running longer than it is. But I'm down. Do you have a form? Like, okay, before you answer, because you're already looking at me like you're ready to go here. Is this a formation in your mind, or is this something you end up finding yourself playing in FIFA? Or is it both? Okay, go for it.
So I have 2 that I really like. I think I'd lean more towards the 4-3-3, and I think there's a lot of flexibility in that formation. Especially with your wide players, they don't always have to, depending on your tactics, they don't always have to be an out-and-out winger. You can play like someone like Henry, who is like a wide forward, or you can throw out someone like, Bernardo Silva, who's like a creative midfielder, but also has like a really high work rate, who's going to like pull back. There's a lot of different options. And then with that 3 in the midfield, depending on who you're playing, I mean, you could have like someone who's maybe more like an 8, like a box-to-box midfielder who has some defensive abilities, but is not necessarily, like a straight out-and-out holding midfielder if you're playing weaker opposition. Or you can just park back there and just like, I'm going to sit right in front of the back 4 here. I also really like, I enjoy myself a solid 4-4-2, basic boy.
Purist.
Yeah. You can do some fun stuff with that too. Like the 2 up top don't always have to be strikers. In a similar position, you can have one kind of like a cam almost pull right behind. You can play a winger who's just gonna like, I'm gonna go wherever I want because I have this solid like base behind me to build forward.
Sure. I would say I really enjoy and it gets confused as a 4-4-2 a lot, but it's really more of a 4-5-1, where that, like, kind of like what you're suggesting, that second or that fifth is a false 9, that really can just be kind of wherever they need to be on the field. So it's that free flowing, still attacking minded players, central forward, but like suddenly they just want to overload on a wing, right? And they want to concentrate. And it just, I really like when you get out of shapes when it comes to attack, because I think that's how you disrupt a defense. And I also like when wide play is happening. I feel like when clubs play tight, they either have to have amazing talent to move the ball centrally through the middle, and I don't think we'll see that in a USL level of play. I could be wrong. I haven't seen it yet. But like having those players that are just kind of sitting on the wings waiting, and then it just stretches the defense to go in and compensate for how the shift in ball movement and formation has happened. And then again, you have that fifth player in that midline playing up somewhere loose as a false nine or like a free flowing attacker of any kind. And then they just suddenly they're in a spot that they're not supposed to be. And to me, that has always been like one of the most exciting ways to play, because it just gives you options, and it keeps your defensive core pretty much intact too, because that in that 4-5-1, one player can play defensively, or they can go on like those pulley systems where you see like one of the midfielders go up, one kind of stays back, and it doesn't put you at risk. And again, I think that's one of my favorite ways to watch soccer. But I agree with you. I think the other most exciting way really still is that 4-3-3 system today, if you have the right players and you have the right kind of talent. I will tell you also, the one system I hate is I hate 3-back lines that use like wing backs that run up and down the field. So it's technically like a 5-back line with attack/defense. I don't like those styles at all. I don't like 3 or 5-back lines because you put so much work into your wing backs that it's insane. And the reason I say that is Coach Kano was a wing back. So he played a lot of different roles on the wing,
wide positions.
And so I'll be curious to see what he wants to do. I haven't looked at Birmingham Legion's history, and I don't know. We should probably dive into that as we start doing our homework, because again, it might not have been his formation, but he had to get accustomed to it, and if it produced results, he may be really comfortable in doing that now. So it'll be really interesting to see. But Steve, again, what a great question, and again, thanks for the kind words.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
All right, well, hey. It has been a blast getting to sit down and talk soccer and, not get paid minimum wage for it. If someone wants to pay us minimum wage, yeah, feel free. And I should say, we have, speaking of, if I can ask the listeners for anything, if you don't want to pay us, even though you can pay us through buying some of our merch. So we have a couple of hats out, which we've released on social media. I think the Anchors Up hat is fire, if I do say so myself. We've got a lot of positive feedback on that one. But we also have a dad hat out there for people who like dad hats. And then we also have a donate button on the website itself if you feel like you don't want to buy something but you want to throw like $1 our way. And anyone that donates will always call out on the socials and on the podcast for, thanking if you've done any kind of contribution in terms of just donations itself. But really, if I could ask listeners for anything, it's just help us, spread the word on the podcast itself. Much like that listener at the beginning who said he'd listened to the episodes, rating us, especially on Apple, to get us higher up in the standings to hit certain search engine optimization requirements, giving us ratings, giving us feedback.
5 stars on Spotify.
Yeah, whatever you've got to do to make that happen. We appreciate the love and support. We don't do this for the money. We do this so that we can continue to grow soccer in the state of Rhode Island for both the club and just all of the fans out there that love the beautiful game. So on that note, I don't want to sound too for just 36 cents a day.
Give me money.
But we really do appreciate your support and your fandom. And if there's anything that we can do to make this podcast better, your contributions in terms of your time and effort are always greatly appreciated. So feedback is always welcome. But having said that, buddy, I think it's time to where can they find us?
Time to put a rib on it, wrap it up.
You know
All right,
it.
guys, you can find us over at Twitter or X, I don't really know, at RIFC Podcast, Threads at RIFC Podcast, Instagram at Raising Anchor, and our website, raisinganchorpodcast.com.
Amen. Anchors up.
Anchors up. Catch you next time.